Hello folks, welcome back. This is the next video in the building NAS series. In this video, I'm going to add an add-on card into my NAS build to expand it to a 6-bay NAS. The add-on card that I've chosen is the IOCrest 4-port PCIe Express card. The reason that I've got this card is specifically because it has four SATA ports and it uses the Marvell 9235 chipset, and FreeNAS supports this chipset, or I wouldn't have any issues with FreeNAS support for this chipset. One thing that you should remember if you're going for this card is the 4-port add-on card from IOCrest. It has a whole bunch of different chipsets that it comes with, and one thing to note which is really important is if you are going for a 4-port card, there are a couple of them which are PCIe 1x and not 2x or x2 speed cards. Just be sure that when you order this card, you get the one with the 9235 chipset and not the 9215 chipset, because if you go with the 9215 chipset, that is a PCIe X1 card, and that essentially means you'd probably be limited to speeds around about 100 Mbps on all your 4 drives. X2 will give you better speeds than X1, of course. So if you're going for a RAID and a 4-port SATA card, make sure that you get the right chipset on your controller cards. Having said that, all the 4 SATA ports on this card are SATA 3 ports. This is not a RAID card and it does not support any RAID on the chipset at all. And that is fine for the NAS build, is because we are going to use ZFS volumes either in Z1 or Z2 to have some redundancy on the storage, and we won't be using any RAID support from the cards itself. And that is one of the reasons I chose FreeNAS, because you basically get hardware independence in your RAID array if you go with FreeNAS and not use the onboard RAID. Definitely you won't get the same performance benefits of a hardware RAID, but for a home system I think that's fine. So let's go ahead and open and see what we have in this package. So in here we have the card itself. We get 2 SATA cables, of course the drivers for Windows and warranty information, and a user manual. Along with this, we also get a low profile bracket for the card for Alright, so here we have the card. It's a pretty small device. So interestingly, if you look at it, the chipset, the 9235 chipset actually supports 4 SATA ports, and the way they have done this is this card comes in multiple variants wherein you can have 2 internal SATA ports and 2 eSATA ports, or you can have all 4 internal SATA ports. If you look at this card, they have a provision to put on the external eSATA SATA ports as well on this, and that's about it. That's as simple that it gets. So now let's just put this in the NAS and see how this thing works. Alright folks, so I've opened the NAS and we'll just take the back panel out. So now, one thing that I would like to mention here is that when you try to put in a PCI X2 or a X4 card into any of your motherboard slots, you don't have the exact size of the slot on the motherboard, because these ports right here are the PCI X1 slots. So 2 of these, and this is a PCI X16 slot. This slot has 16 more PCI channels than these slots, and they are physically bigger because they have 16 different channels in there. That's it. So when you have an X2 card, all you have to do is you can put that in an X16 slot or in an X4 slot if you have one. What that will do is it will make sure that it will just connect to the X2 lanes in the PCI slot, and that is it. You are basically just wasting the rest of 14 lanes that you have on that slot. In this build, I really don't care because I'm not going to put anything else in this. The other problem that I might have is if I choose to expand this further, I don't have any more PCI X2 or X16 slots in this motherboard. So the only option at that point is I can buy PCI X1 cards and use one of these 2 slots. And by using a PCI X1 card, I would be limited to speeds of about 100 Mbps on 2 or 4 disks that I put in. And I may not use 4-port card because putting a 4-port card on a PCI X1 slot will really throttle the throughput. So I'll probably just get a 2-port card and add 1 in each and get 4 additional ports in that fashion. So the card is in. Let me secure that with the screw there, and then we can go and try to add more hard drives and turn this on and see how that works. Now I've secured the card. What I'll do is I'll just turn this on and see if FreeNAS recognizes the cards and installs a driver for it.
Alright folks, so here we are at the FreeNAS GUI, and I did the exact same thing. Just plugged the NAS into my network, put the power on and just turned it on. I don't have the keyboard or the monitor connected to it. What I'm going to do is just open a shell and look at the boot messages. And I'm looking for the Marvell 9235 controller in here. And there it is. So that means FreeNAS has detected the card, and I'm just gonna go ahead, plug in a couple of hard drives and see how it's gonna work. Once I've done that, I'll go ahead and create volumes in FreeNAS, and we'll do some testing or some benchmarking on the speeds that I would get out of this NAS.
That's all for this video, folks. Until next time, have a good day.